Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. Today it's all about Sky Sports Fantasy Football with £50,000 up for grabs for the winner. There are still plenty more games to go in Gameweek 35 as we are recording, but do we have the transfers to cope? My name is Joe and joining me ahead of Gameweek 36's fixtures and the tail end of 35 is Luke. Luke, how are you?
I'm okay, Joe. I'm all right. Not too bad. Just getting over the line now, aren't we? Team was okay last week. Not anything to shout about. It's pretty much been the story of my season as it's sort of petered out. Sort of just around the average or maybe just below most weeks, and not many options to change anything. So yeah, we'll see what the last few games bring us.
Yeah, it's all about the captaincy, really, isn't it? When we're without any transfers, and I've got one left, and so I've used up two. Which I've used actually okay. They've come good for me. My penultimate two transfers, one left to go. So before we have a look at our teams in a bit of detail, let's have a look at the latest tier 2 and the man of the match stars for the week. So men of the match: Luke Shaw, Reece James, Sacco. The Sacco's in your team, isn't he? So
yeah,
that's pretty good. Harrison still doing well in the absence of some of those midfielders, Rafinha in particular at Leeds. Eze, Allen back from Everton and back to doing what he does, impressing the man in the stands. Callum Wilson, and we'll come to him in a sec, and my man Chris Wood. Callum Wilson I was going to be my what the hell, I'm just going to get him in this week, but then the news came this morning that he's out for the rest of the season. So abandon Callum Wilson if you've got the transfers and own him. If you don't, just forget about him. Passing tier 2, Azpilicueta still in your team. Laporte, I'll just put Leicester defenders in, and then Souček. Tackles tier 2, Azpilicueta again. So yeah, he's done really well for you there. Walker Peters, Luke Ayling, impressing again in the tiers as he did earlier in the season, and Cash at Villa. Saves tier 2, Lloris, Dubravka, Allison, Henderson, and Ramsdale. Ramsdale once again getting those saves tiered, but unfortunately he keeps conceding. And shots tier 2, Ziyech, Callum Wilson, forget about him, Benteke and Traore. So not much to speak about there. So moving on to your team. So let's get up. So it's obviously similar to last week. So you can sort of go through sort of where you're at and what you plan to do. Because there'll be people listening and watching who probably maybe have no transfers left and we're thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to maintain rank or get up the rankings and beat those with a transfer or two? So you've got Martinez, Azpilicueta, Sionchu, Diaz in a 3-4-3 of Saka, Fernandes, Bowen, Rafinha, Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and Salah. So yeah, where are you at with this, and what can you do, and who are you happy with?
Yeah, I mean I've got no transfers left now, 0. So this is me for the rest of the season.
Okay.
I'm not, it's okay. Obviously Bowen is an issue because he's not starting, and Antonio appeared back. So I should have gone with Lingard, but I already talked about why I went for Bowen, just to be a little bit different. But in any case, Lingard hasn't outscored Bowen particularly well anyway, so it's not cost me too much yet. Obviously, it could be. Bowen could have scored actually last game. I don't know if you saw when he came on, he missed close to an open goal, but it sort of bounced back at him. So fair enough. So yeah, I mean, it's just going to be getting your captain selection right as far as I'm concerned, which is always the main thing in Sky. I think some of these players who have been pretty poor the last month or so. So Azpilicueta, for example, barely played. Saka's been in and out. Rafinha's obviously been injured. So my team's just been 5 or 6 players most week, and it's really been hurting me. But now they're all coming back, so I'm hoping for aside from maybe Bowen, I think the rest of the team's pretty well set. To be honest, there's not too much I would change. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I can make up a little bit of ground in the last couple of weeks, and just try and nail those captains. But as for other people who have got transfers left, and I think it's what you're looking at, I think that Man City versus Newcastle game kind of sticks out because fixtures for Man City after that are good. Now, I appreciate there still could be some rotation there. But especially now when you add in the fact that Wilson's injured, Newcastle look like they're safe. I mean, it just feels like a very comfortable win is now possibly on the cards for that week. And yeah, I still think Man City will want to finish it in style potentially. So yeah, I think that's where I'd probably be looking now, is to maybe get a Man City asset that no one else has really got, or is too afraid to get, or hasn't got the transfers to do so. Obviously, there's quite a few teams with some some good fixtures. Liverpool being another one.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably look there for the likes of, if you haven't got Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's just been returning nearly every single week, so it seems a pretty no-brainer. Mane looked fantastic the other night and is a big differential, so I suppose you could also look that way. I'd probably edge towards the defender myself, but Mane is an option. And then obviously Leeds, like we've already discussed, have come back into it now with some really good games. So
Stuart Dallas, those who've kept Stuart Dallas, well done.
Yeah, I was on a pod with, I did my own little pod with Niall, who's a serial sort of top 50 finisher. And he did say, this is the time of the overhaul, he said, he can't really understand why everyone's moving away from Dallas, because he's basically the perfect player in terms of he gets bonus, he gets goals, he plays every week, he plays in defence, and he's super cheap. Yet he and all of us virtually moved away because their fixtures sort of toughened up, and we went for the likes of Vestergaard and stuff, which was basically a tragedy. And I wish we'd listened to him, because if he'd just left him in, I mean, he just continuously, even in the games where you think he's going to get nothing, he just pops up with something, usually a goal. You could argue it's a little bit of luck there. I would say that if he could play in Leeds' midfield for the rest of another 5 years, he may not hit that tally for goals. But what a player, and he's certainly an option for these last 3 games, because he's just got such a high ceiling. Right, any game he plays, he could hit 15 points plus or something.
Just pops up with those goals, and also there's the clean sheet potential. It's really strong clean sheet potential in the 3 main fixtures. There, so if I've got Rafinha like you have, and so I feel okay with Leeds. But if I had more transfers, I would double up. I would because Leeds fixtures are so strong. But certainly if I didn't have any Leeds coverage. But as you said, in terms of the captaincy, it's just that single match day we've got left. We've got options, lots of options. Most people will have options on most days, except for that Friday when Newcastle and Man City play. Moving on to my team. So I had 3 transfers left last week, so my team's completely different now. Because I'm in that position where I was top 500. I'm not really playing for any particular leagues or anything. I just want to see how high I can get, and I'm obviously not going to do that with the same players. I need to be a little bit different, and I've been trying to do that a little bit in my transfers. So I've got Martinez in goal, Holding, Wan-Bissaka, Alexander-Arnold, Lingard, Mason Mount, Fernandes, Rafinha, Iheanacho, Chris Wood, and Salah. And so I'm on 95, and I'm into the top 400. So I've gone up about 100 places by being different. So this is what we've spoken about.
I was going to say, last week we talked about Man United, and I said maybe go Wan-Bissaka over Maguire.
And do you know what? And I was walking the dog with my son, and I said, excuse me, but I've just got to go and alter my fantasy team. And so I just got my phone out. So I was on like about a minute really to do it, out in the countryside. And I was all set to do Maguire. I just thought surety of minutes. And then I don't know what it was. Maybe your voice carrying across the wind of the Somerset levels came back into my head. I thought, no, I'm going to get Wan-Bissaka. And it was that instant moment. And hey presto, Maguire gets injured. He's out probably for this rest of the league season. Wan-Bissaka got an assist, and he looks as nailed as anyone, as Maguire really, to play. So I'm expecting another game for him in Gameweek 35, and to play the rest of the matches.
It might not feature tonight versus Leicester, but I think that would have been the same for Maguire as well potentially. But it worked out. I mean, obviously can't argue, can't predict the injury, but I do think he's slightly better just for that assist potential. That's pretty much it. He has got quite a few this season, and he has got tackles in his locker when they both kind of meet passing. So it's just that extra upside, isn't it?
And as I touted Chris Wood in, I got Chris Wood in. I was going to get him for Iheanacho, and then I just realised, I can get Chris Wood in for Sionchu, and I think I want to go into that Manchester United game with Iheanacho as captain rather than Sionchu, and I don't trust any of the United players to start. So that's what I was going to go for there. So I've got 1 transfer left. The other thing is who's not in here. So who's not in here? Well, Sionchu's not in here, but Harry Kane's not in here. I got rid of
Okay.
Harry Kane for Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, worked out so far.
But in essence, I got rid of Harry Kane for Chris Wood, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Moved it around. I'm not going to get Harry Kane back. And yeah, he may well do me some damage in the last few weeks. But I'm at the stage now where, if I go down 500 places, well, what am I going to remember from this season? That I was 800 or I was 300? But
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference now.
by going for someone different, and that's what we're talking about, Man City player, probably, a different one. I've got a chance of just moving up high just to see how far I can get. And I've done a little bit of research with Man City, so I've got a table I put up on the screen. This is all matches this season. So what I'm looking at really, as you mentioned about Newcastle, I mean, you've got Diaz. Anyone who's got Diaz, just captain Diaz, who's very likely to play, and you're looking at a huge.
Looking at 10 points, I would have thought.
Yeah, huge.
Captain to 20, obviously.
Yeah, huge breadth of points there. You're looking at 5 to 10 points a match if you captain them 10 to 20. That's just what you're looking at there. But I don't want to do that. I just think I'm gonna go for someone a bit different. Now Aguero, despite his terrible penalty, which even I could have saved, he got in terms of minutes per shot on target. So this is whenever they play, most likely to get a shot on target. It's Aguero. He is leading Man City for that. For those, he's only had 11 appearances. He's had 2 goals from that. His expected goal involvement is 4 over those 11 appearances. It's not bad. And so I think I might go for him and just go, what the hell? And I'm pretty certain he'll play in that final fixture, and he's be, final hurrah, man of the match. What an end to the season, an uplifting end to the season. QPR style.
I'm convinced he's going to play all 3 games because
Yeah.
despite missing a penalty, I mean, and Pep being frustrated, I mean, that would happen. For me, that happens if any player misses the penalty. And the fact he tried a Panenka, you don't question Aguero, really. I mean, he's, you know what I mean? When it goes in, he looks amazing. He could quite easily just missed a side foot. It makes no difference. I think it's just general frustration that he wanted to win the game and secure the title, and they missed the penalty, which is what Man City have been doing all season.
Yeah.
I don't think that can change the fact that Aguero is like one of their best all-time players and best all-time strikers, and they're going to send him off the right way because they don't need to win any of the games particularly. I mean, obviously they need to confirm it 100%, but I think that's pretty much assured, isn't it? So I'd be surprised if Aguero doesn't play all the rest of the games, and he's on penalties up front for the best team in the league. So even though he's not particularly in old Aguero kind of form, I don't think that particularly matters, and I'd be very surprised if he doesn't get at least 1 goal before the season's out. I think maybe more.
I'm gonna go for it. If I was in the top 10, I'm not sure. Maybe I would, because I don't think the other people in the top 10 would. I'm not sure.
No. And the winger, they've got too many players who can play out wide.
Yeah.
They have only. I mean, obviously in the big games in the Champions League, they tend to play with a false 9 of some sort. But I think in the league, it's pretty much Jesus and Aguero, and Aguero's leaving them.
Yeah.
So surely, to do him right, they're just going to play him. Plus, Jesus can play wide or in a 2, as we've seen. So I just think Aguero's not nailed, but I mean, that's impossible to say in a Pep team. But I think he's as close as anyone in the front line to play all the games. I
mean, De Bruyne, obviously, if he's fit, there's some fitness concerns there. I'm just not convinced you're going to get the amount of games out of De Bruyne. I'm in a position, I've got 5 million in the bank, so for the final transfer I can do whatever, so I might as well go for Aguero, I think. Foden is an option. I don't think you're going to get the volume of games, but you can get explosive.
I mean, if you could tell me now Foden's going to, or Mahrez are going to play all of the games, they're not. I think they're just be the best option, but we don't know that. Don't know.
Sterling quietly has been racking up some goals. Well, a goal in the last few weeks, but quietly he's looked quite threatening recently. And I think the fixtures are there for him. Gundogan, Torres, Jesus, Bernardo Silva sort of also rans to consider, but I don't know. I'm just feeling, what the hell? Go for it.
I think another one I want to add is Cancelo, because I think at the moment they seem to be playing Walker at right in the Champions League in the big games. They'll be playing Walker at right back, and then they play Zinchenko at left back. Usually, can be someone else. Can be Cancelo left back sometimes. So for me, I just feel like Cancelo, he offers them so much going forward, and he has been playing most of the Premier League games. So this is another game where his potential is massive. He's going to get passes, he potentially can get tackles, and he might be playing in midfield, shooting at goal and stuff like he does sometimes. So he's definitely another option.
Yeah, if you wanted to go for defensive options, obviously Diaz is your safe bet. Cancelo's slightly more explosive potential, but also Zinchenko as well. would be
Yeah,
an
he's
option.
great whenever he plays. He's a fantastic Sky asset. It's just, this is the problem. These players that we're suggesting right now are anything far, they're not. We're not guaranteeing they're going to play every
Well,
game. We'd be stupid you say that, but they are high risk, high reward players, and that's what you kind of need to make a difference at this stage, I
it's
think.
game week 36 coming up, and then look at the appearances on this tally here. Obviously, Aguero, we know a lot of injuries, only 11. But even the likes of De Bruyne, 24 appearances. Foden, 26. Mahrez, 25. Sterling probably is the most with 29. I'm talking about attacking players here, not the defenders. So if you're looking for an attacker, they're all going to carry that risk. But I'm in that position. What I've been doing, because I'm not like gunning for first. My mentality in this is that I don't mind taking those risks, like removing Kane or whatever.
Well, there's also the added fact that we get to see the lineups for
Yeah,
the Newcastle game, and then when you put in your captain on that person as well, that's almost a double down straight away. So
yeah,
you could almost, if they don't play the next two games, potentially you still could reap the rewards from it if they go mad in that one game. So that's why it's more suggesting than otherwise. We didn't get to see the lineups. There wasn't a captain option for them. Then they slipped down that list, but now they jump right near the top for me.
Before we look at the Game Week 36 fixtures, we've got a few fixtures left for Game Week 35 remaining. So tonight, what have we got? We got Manchester United against Leicester. So I'm going for Iheanacho. You're going for your Leicester defender or Fernandes if he's playing, I guess.
Yeah, it would be Bruno if he's playing. If he's not, it would be Soyuncu, but I'm not expecting any points either way. Hopefully, it's just a dull game. If Man United do put out the kids as rumoured, and I think Leicester, maybe they're playing with a back 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But obviously, Johnny Evans isn't there, and that was a bit of a tragedy versus Newcastle. So I'm not particularly expecting any points, but I'm hoping just that both teams are tired and can't be asked, and it's a 0-0 and I get some points for Soyuncu. But we'll have to see.
We then got Chelsea against Arsenal. So Mason Mount was rested. I hope he was rested, not a secret injury. So I'm going to captain him for that one. I guess Azpilicueta for you.
Yeah, if he's playing, obviously it will be Azpilicueta. You saw how good he was last week. And that's why I tipped him to be, I think, the highest scoring player from overhaul till the end. And he was on sort of track for that, but then he ended up missing loads of games because he was so important to him. So I don't think he's anywhere near now, unfortunately. But Azpilicueta for me. I've obviously got Saka as well if he does play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a backup, I suppose, but he's not nailed either. So we'll see. Otherwise, it's a miss.
Thursday, 13th of May, Aston Villa against Everton, where we'll know the lineup. Manchester United against Liverpool, where we won't. But I think we can guess this lineup. I think we can guess Fernandes is going to play. I think we can guess that Salah's going to play.
Yeah, the Tuesday 11th is going to help us a lot there, right? If the whole team is rotated for this one, then you'd like to think that they're going to be playing on the 13th. And if that's the case, my captain will probably be Bruno Fernandes. Salah is still an option, and I've got Calvert-Lewin, I've got Martinez. There's quite a few players available. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's been doing fine, so could be tempted, but it'll probably be Bruno Fernandes because generally the rule is if he's playing, then you captain him just in case.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to go for him or Salah, probably Fernandes. I think that's the safest bet. So let's have a look at Game Week 36. So this is another big set of fixtures coming up. So the Newcastle Manchester City, I think we've discussed really. It's your Man City player.
Yeah, the Man City player plays, yeah.
Yeah, and we get to see the lineup, so that's handy. That's quite a nice immediate risk-free move. If you want to take a risk on Foden and Foden's in the starting lineup, then you can do that and safe. Moving on to the Saturday, 15th of May, we've got Burnley against Leeds, Southampton against Fulham, Brighton against West Ham. I said last week about Chris Wood that I think he's good for a couple of captaincies. So he was good this week for one, and I think he's good for the next one as well. I think I don't trust Lingard at the moment within the formation that West Ham have. Benrahma has taken his role, as it were. Antonio, it's not the Lingard he could come back, but for me, for this particular fixture, Rafinha or Chris Wood, probably Chris Wood. But
yeah, I'll be on Rafinha. It's nice to have him back. Hopefully he'll be starting that one. I feel like he can do pretty well in that. Rafinha's the kind of player I think that could cause Burnley problems. He's just lightning quick, and I think also the fact that they've missed him and he comes back, he's just got that star quality. I would be surprised if he doesn't get man of the match, even if he doesn't return in any other way. So that'll be my captain. And plus Brighton are just so solid. They're like a machine at home, and West Ham have been struggling. So I think that's a really tough game.
The difference of this, as I speak as a Brighton fan, no Lewis Dunk, there could be a problem. There also could be no Veltman as well.
Ooh,
So,
okay, yeah.
so
Forgot about the
so
dancing.
that's
Antonio might be a bit of an option
so
then.
that's
To be honest.
two of their central three out, their usual central. You know, but as we know from the beginning of this season, Brighton went about and literally brought up every single defender known to mankind. So they've got no shortage of the likes of Dan Burn, Webster, Ben White as well. You know, all a bunch of other kids coming through. You know, all these defenders. It's like it's like a mass herd of, like, you know, Walking Dead. All the zombies coming. It's like, oh no, the Brighton defenders are coming over the hill. There's like millions of them. Anyway, so so that's what you're looking at there. Even so, I think if you got Antonio, I think it's possibly a good bet. I still think there's a little risk with Lingard for this day, but obviously if you've got Lewis Dunk, get him out. He's been great. Goodbye. And I think it was Ian Parrin of Planet Sky was he captained him, and I was saying, well, you know, we mentioned that Lewis Dunk could be the best captain that day, and it really was a case of, blimey, how many points is he going to get?
Yeah, he was on for an absolute monster haul.
Yeah.
He was on for clean sheet because it looked pretty nailed at that time. Passes tier 2. I think he had shots on target as well.
Yeah.
A goal, blatantly going to get man of the match.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be, that's a game-changing move, that was. And then he got sent off, which is, as a Brighton fan, I know, with Lewis Dunk, amazing. And then own goals, red cards. I mean, he's got that in his game. This is probably why Southgate doesn't pick him.
I think it's when you know, if you imagine Champ Manager or Football Manager, you've got determination stat for someone. It's like his determination stat's above 20, and then he's got aggression above it as well, and it just causes him some issues.
It got aggression above it. Yeah. Little angry face above his head as he plays every game. He's just got that in him. It was a really pointless tackle as well. But anyway, moving on to the Sunday: Crystal Palace against Villa, Tottenham against Wolves, West Brom against Liverpool, Everton against Sheffield United. Some options here. I don't have Harry Kane, but I imagine Harry Kane's going to be very popular. Or Son. Salah against West Brom, he'd be my one. But Calvert-Lewin against Sheffield United, I think that looks the one, probably.
Yeah, to be honest, it's so hard to call this, isn't it? Kane, Salah and Calvert-Lewin look the three standout picks this week. And that's my front line. So no doubt I'll get no points and captain the wrong one. But it doesn't look like you can lose. I mean, I think every centre forward, or every sort of the main centre forward against Sheffield United for about the last 8 or 9 weeks has returned some sort of points.
Yeah.
So, you know, Calvert-Lewin, I'd expect he should do pretty well. I mean, I think Wolves are playing their kids at the moment quite a lot. I think they're giving people a run out. They've got nothing to play for. So they concern me there. I feel like Kane could do well. And then with West Brom, they're already they're down now, aren't they? So, Salah, he could go mad as well in that game. It's so tough. I might just go Calvert-Lewin to be different because I haven't got any. That's probably what I'll end up doing. But I'll probably have Calvert-Lewin first, maybe Salah second. I don't quite trust Spurs yet. I feel like, under Mason, potentially if they could share the points basically. Son and Bale can take it and quite easily be man of the match in that game. For Liverpool, I don't really see many other man of the matches. Mane's look good. Mane, Salah, maybe Trent. And then for Everton, it's basically Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin. They're the only two that ever stand out, I think, particularly. But actually, having said that, if James Rodriguez is back as well, that'll be another factor, I suppose. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I had Calvert-Lewin, I would go for him. I've got options, but Salah for me would be the one. I mean, maybe Alexander-Arnold if I wanted to go a little bit more different there. I mean, he is
probably get passes, maybe. Yeah. Even though he tries to swing the ball in and quite a lot, he still does get passes occasionally.
Now, the second half of the game week is a bit more interesting because we've got fans back for the home team. So I'm looking at this in terms of the home players. I think they're the ones that are going to pick up man of the match. I think they're the ones who are going to have the motivation to do well. And so Manchester United against Fulham, Fernandes looks the standout that day. Southampton against Leeds, Brighton against Man City, Chelsea against Leicester. It's hard to call. I mean, would I be right in saying that for that Tuesday? I mean, Fernandes at home to Fulham, at home in front of fans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's an obvious one, isn't it? Again, it's going to be one of these ones where there's only this week and then one more to go. And if you're nowhere near catching the person above you, you're probably going to have to captain someone different, I think, if you don't care about falling down. But for anyone else, I think Bruno Fernandes is just clearly the obvious pick here. I mean, Leeds forwards could do great versus Southampton. Man City could easily win 2-0 versus Brighton, keep passing bonus, yes. Azpilicueta versus Leicester, if he plays, could easily get points. There are other options, but Bruno Fernandes just stands out massively in the game. Fulham can't score a goal, particularly. Expect us to have the ball a lot. I think it's pretty
also,
obvious.
it's 6 o'clock. You get to see the lineup. So, no brainer. Wednesday, 19th of May. More fans for the home teams. Everton against Wolves. Newcastle take on Sheffield United. Tottenham play Villa. Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Burnley against Liverpool. West Brom against West Ham. Obviously, if it wasn't Liverpool, Chris would be a contender for me here. But yeah, looking at that, I mean, Calvert-Lewin once again looks great. I mean, I'm probably going to go with maybe Salah away. I'm not going to go for I don't think I've got any credible home players apart from Chris Wood that day. So I'm going to go for an away one.
Yeah, Kane home to Villa.
Yeah, obviously.
Good, but Martinez and Villa reasonably solid most of the time. I think Salah's probably the standout on this day, even though he's away. And Calvert-Lewin is an option. Just the thing with Everton is it depends whether the fans are going to make a difference because they've been pretty poor all season at home. But I'm just concerned about Wolves. I just think they keep playing. They're almost going through the motions now and putting kids out and stuff and seeing what they can try and do. And they don't really have much of anything. I know they won against Brighton, but I think that was purely down to the red card, to be honest. I don't think they offered much before that. So, maybe Calvert-Lewin again.
Okay, let's move on to the community questions. Luke NDN asks your favourite looking players for next season from the Championship who are coming up. For me, Buendia, Tony, Sarauta, Messina, he says, all look good options there. So I've done a little bit of research. There's an immediate one. Get Buendia. He is the KDB of the Championship. So looking at assists, yep, he's high up. Goals, yep, he's high up. Then looking at tackles, yep, he's there as well. And then looking at shots, yep, he's there. And I was looking at save, might as well just put him in for save points as well. He's the spread of points there. If you're looking for passing, it's the Dickensian law firm of Skip, Hanley and Rupp from Norwich with most accurate passes. Then Brentford's, I'm going to pronounce this completely wrong, so apologies, Brentford fans. If Brentford go up, they're currently in the playoff position. Josh Delver and Pontus Jansson are also strong on accurate passes. Should Brentford go up? If you're after tackle tier, Watford could be your place. Tom Cleverley and Jeremy Ngakia. And Buendia again, obviously, for Norwich. Shots, Brentford's Ivan Toney, 31 goals. Timo Pukki, 26 goals. And they're both obviously strongest on shots per game, along with, you guessed it, Buendia.
Nice.
And saves, not Buendia. Tim Krul is second, for Norwich's Tim Krul rather, is second in the Championship in terms of saves per match. 2.6 saves a match. And only Stephen Bender at Swansea had more, 4. So the Swansea keeper looks good if Swansea go up. So Norwich and Watford going up, definitely. That's why I mentioned all those players. Brentford are in 3rd place currently, so looking short of a playoff position. They are, so those players are to be targeted. And that's why I mentioned the Swansea one. They're coming in 4th. Then you've got Barnsley and Bournemouth. So the familiar names there that we know and love, like David Brooks and all those others at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So worth having a look at. Looking at this, I'm not sure how many games they've got left in the Championship. So Reading are 7 points off playoffs and Cardiff 1 million points off. So I'm not sure whether they can sneak in. I'm not sure how many games they've got left. So yeah, they're the ones there. So yeah, some options, and I reckon they'll all be cheap as well because Sky don't like to do their research, do they?
No, I was going to say this is the thing. It's all price dependent, of course, and sometimes Sky let some of the Championship teams in particular slip through the net. But I also think it's not necessarily their fault. Quite often these Championship teams come up and then they sign a load of players and stuff becomes unclear as to who's going to play. And often as well, whoever's the star in the championship and then comes up, it ends up being a different player that ends up actually being the star once we get to the Premier League. That's happened a lot as well. I mean, when Dia stands out a lot there, if he's quite
Yeah.
cheap, I think it's just that he's going to be one of these guys you can just put in mid. When we struggle for midfielders, right? And if he's
Yeah.
ticking all those boxes, then fair enough. I think the passing bonus is probably brave. I mean, there's not many teams that come up and then actually get the passing bonus. I know Fulham have managed to do it, but even the likes of their midfielders who can occasionally get passing bonus, it's just not enough, right? You need a little bit more as well. You need like a goal, assist, penalty, something with there, and it's not always the case. So keepers, I think, are always viable for all the teams. Even Ramsdale, they're getting relegated, but he's still picking up save bonus every week. Again, it will price dependent. If he was much cheaper than everyone else, I mean, Sam Johnston this season's done well. I mean, there's always keepers that can do well. Generally, avoid the defenders unless they're incredibly cheap, just because those minus points are so harsh. But yeah, Buendia, and then obviously if Tony comes up and Pukki come up, they're going to be your sort of go-to captains, I would imagine, on particular days. So obviously they're going to struggle to score that volume of goals, but they look like options. So yeah, interesting to see.
Yeah, it is interesting. So definitely Buendia. I mean, there is talk that he is Norwich's well, I guess Skip would be, but Skip's on loan. Would be Norwich's key best player, but Buendia, especially in terms of Sky. He's absolutely he could be a monster in this game. Could be an absolute monster. So yeah, moving on to questions. FF Dempsey asks, looking ahead to Wednesday, which is Chelsea Arsenal. So this is currently recording it Tuesday. So apologies if this goes out after this match. But the question there: Chelsea versus Arsenal. He's only got one transfer in hand, and he only has Azpilicueta, and he can't be confident he can play. If he is rested, is it a case of just sitting this one out, or with his one transfer left, getting a Chelsea or indeed Arsenal player in? What do you reckon?
I think Arsenal and Chelsea both do have like decent games to end the season, so you could use it now at that point. Like I understand that and captain one of them. I think that game probably screams like a 2-0 Chelsea, like every Chelsea game does. So maybe you could go there, but then you'd have to think Azpilicueta might play the remaining 2 games. So are you benefiting that much from it? Maybe not, in comparison to say, the Friday night, the Man City game, which looks a better game to call in terms of like a 4 goal win or something by Man City. And it's a bit of a differential. And then you have to remember Azpilicueta might come back for the final 2 games. So whereas your Man City player that you get in, if they do continue to play the next couple of games over a poorer option in your team, I think it's probably better. So long-winded, I'd probably say just avoid that, to be honest, and then look somewhere else. But I can understand doing it because Chelsea and Arsenal still have really good games to the end of the season.
DB asks a question which we've sort of answered, but he was saying, let's picture this scenario. You've got one transfer left. You can afford Iheanacho to either KDB or Aguero on Friday. They both start. Who do you go for? My answer is I'm going to go for Aguero. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think KDB. I think KDB is. He's just not done it in Sky all season, really, has he? It's been a couple of times. It's hard to say, that's a reason to get him over Aguero because he hasn't done it either. But I just feel like because Man City are still in other competitions, and if there's any chance of Kevin De Bruyne being fit for those games, he is absolutely nailed to play them. Yeah. So on that basis alone, I would go Aguero because I just feel like he's more likely to play all of the games. If they were all 3 to start all 3 of the games, I'd go De Bruyne because Aguero rarely sees 90 minutes. Maybe just outscore him. Yeah. But I just don't think that will happen. So I'd say Aguero.
For reasons unknown, also asked a very similar question about Iheanacho replacements, and both said I think City's probably the best place to go for this
City, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think are the two main ones for me. I mean, you could look at Antonio from West Ham as well. We talked at the beginning. I think those are the 3 guys that I'd mainly look at now. Yeah, I mean, Wilson's been taken away. He was potentially an option.
Scott McDonald asks, is it worth holding a transfer for the last day of the season with all games being played simultaneously and with fans for the home fans? Yes, but the other thing is you will definitely have a captain that day unless you're massively unlucky and all 11 of your players get injured.
I just strange things happen on the final day. Strange results. Teams are different. Someone might get injured from now to the end.
Yeah.
If you've got one, amazing. I think holding one can really benefit you. I mean, The reason being, I guess, is you kind of got a target, right? You'll be sat in your, let's say you're sat second in your mini league, you're 8 points behind first. You can be pretty confident who he's going to pick and who he's going to captain on that final day. You've suddenly got something, like a tool in your armory to potentially claw back those 8 points. So I do really like it. Yeah. And if there's any surprises, what happens if Salah doesn't play or whatever that everyone's got, or Kane, he only recently got injured and came back and kind of got rushed back. So he's got Euros coming up soon. So are they even playing for anything anymore by that stage? Maybe not. I mean, I think he'll play. I'm just saying there's loads of examples like that where you just never know, and the final day throws up some strange things. Who do Man City play on the final day? They play home to Everton, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aguero is getting man of the match in that game if he just takes to the field. I think he's going to be the worst player.
He's just a wall gone, and they might as well, that bloke in the stands, whose mum is it? Rodriguez is who is it? Who's been getting weird man of the matches this season?
I can't so many.
This mum will come onto the field and just hand Aguero, and he hasn't even kicked a ball yet. Anyway. FF Thinker says. Final question this is, with one transfer left, with no Kane, no Salah, or no City on Friday, what to do? He's happy enough with Alexander-Arnold covering Salah, but he can't decide. So I'm sort of almost in that position. I've got no Kane or City. As we said, I think it's go for City. I think I prefer them to Spurs.
I agree. I'd say Salah if he didn't have, because he's got Trent that can cover it, and he doesn't have the other options. Yeah. Salah would be my top, but because he's got Trent, he can probably maybe get away with it. So therefore, go City. I would.
It's one of those examples where yes, Salah, you're going to miss out on Salah's points, but it's one of those things where it wouldn't surprise me. Alexander-Arnold outscored Salah in at least 2 or 3 of those fixtures. So that's all of the questions covered. But just a reminder of some of those stats that we've used from the members area at Fantasy Football Scout. Do have a look at that. Also, if you've liked this episode, do press the like button and do remember to subscribe on our YouTube channel and also wherever you receive our podcasts. But for the meantime, Luke, thanks so much for joining me and good luck with your game week in Sky.
Cheers, Joe. Same to you, and I shall see you on the next one.